Hello guys, let's continue from here because we left it in the previous video. Administrative law in ascertaining the policy of any given legislation. Principles of administrative law set the benchmark of interpreting, understanding, and practicing the underlying themes of all legislations and judicial decisions. So, principles of administrative law, that is the benchmark or that is the limit that how the various judicial decisions can be interpreted, can be understood. अगर कोई verdict दिया गया है, so how you have to interpret it, how you have to implement in future situations or in the present case if it is applicable, how you have to interpret and understand and then implement it in the lives. First step is to find out the policy of any law, to see the plain meaning of words in a statute through which power has been delegated. So whatever thing is written, if I write down like this statement, so first you have to read it, then you will try to make out that what this statement is trying to convey, what is the meaning of this statement, and then you will try to understand its meaning, and then you can, like what we say, read in between the lines. You understand what the statement is trying to convey to you, and then if it is applicable in the daily life or in any future situation, whatever the case may be, then you implement it. So that's the case with the legislations and judicial decisions as well. You read it, you interpret it, you understand it, and then you practice or implement it in your daily lives or whatever the situation may be. So first step to find out the policy or the motive of any law is that you see what the words over there mean. Then reference can be made to object and reason clause. The head notes and section names of statutes can also be used, and if need be, external sources of interpretation like parliamentary debates can also be used for ascertaining the purpose of law. To determine that what the purpose of law is, you first read it. You like bare acts पढ़ो बोला जाता है, तो you first read it and try to understand what those words are trying to convey, and then you can, if you want, you can refer it to the object and reason clause. What's the objective, what's the reason that why these things are written over here. Then if you are referring it, so you can use head notes and section names. Mechanisms of control against illegitimate administrative processes. Illegitimate means something which is not legal. In US, procedural control is effective within prescribed guidelines. In UK, parliamentary control is extremely strong and effective given that theirs is an unwritten constitution with supremacy of parliament. UK does not has a written constitution, so parliament control is very strong and effective over there. As you know, there is queen system also in UK, which is going on hereditarily, but queen is just queen is just the head of the state by fact, but in actual all the functions, all the decisions in UK are taken by its parliament only. Just that queen has to sign in what the bill comes to her, and till date she hasn't refused any bill which has passed on to her for signature. So that's how in UK it goes. In India, it is neither procedural control nor parliament which has an absolute power. So you see, in US, procedural control was very strong. In UK, parliament was very strong, but in India, neither of them is strong. Strong means neither of them has an absolute power or a supreme over the other. Hence, Indians turn to judiciary to frame the scope of administrative anomalies and privileges of parliament. In such cases, court starts with pre-assumption of constitutionality, means whatever are given in the constitution principles, the court works according to that. If any provision of parliament or if any legislation which is given out by parliament is violating the basic principles or main principles of the constitution, then court has the power to declare that legislation to be null and void. So court always sees that you have to work according to the constitution. If for a law two interpretations are possible, court will follow the one which makes the law constitutional. As we have read, we have to go as per the presumption. We the court, अगर उसके पास एक bill आया for a judicial review, and the court has to tell that whether it is valid or not. So the court first assumes it that yeah, it is constitutional. पहले उसको constitutional और सही assume करके ही वो लोग चलते हैं, और फिर अगर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन प्रोविजंस पढ़ेंगे और उसके हिसाब से अगर वो नहीं सही माना जाए तब उसको इनवैलिड डिक्लेयर कर दिया जाएगा. अब जैसे यहाँ दिया हुआ है, मेरे पास ये बिल आया, बिल ए, और आई हैव प्रिज्यूम्ड इट टू बी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल टू गो with the principles of constitution. Now this and for इस लॉ को सही या गलत मानने के लिए मेरे पास दो इंटरप्रिटेशंस हैं. दो तरीके से मैं उस प्रोविज़न को रीड कर सकती हूँ. होता है ना, कभी एक बात का दो मतलब निकल जाता है. तो उसी तरीके से अगर ऐसा इस बिल के वैलिडिटी चेक करने के लिए ऐसा कोई कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रिंसिपल है जिसके दो मतलब निकल सकते हैं. एक मतलब को अगर कंसीडर किया जाए तो ये बिल वैलिड हो जाएगा, दूसरे मतलब को कंसीडर करने पर ये बिल इनवैलिड हो जाएगा. क्योंकि मुझे प्रीअजम्पशन ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनैलिटी की तरफ से चलना है, तो मैं वो वाला इंटरप्रिटेशन लूँगी दैट विल मेक दिस लॉ टू बी वैलिड और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल. द कोर्ट में रीड डाउन द अदर लॉ इन ऑर्डर टू अपहोल्ड द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनैलिटी. तो ये जो लॉ जिससे उन्हें कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनैलिटी और वैलिड डिक्लेयर हो जाएगा, उसको वो एक तरीके से फ्रेम भी कर सकते हैं टू अपहोल्ड द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनैलिटी. A balanced and holistic approach is adopted while accessing and adjudicating upon administrative matters, since court has to always aim at delivering justice and at same time ensure that it does not transcend its own domain and pose a part of legislature. So court has also to administer justice, and also it has to take care that it may not step into the shoes of legislature. It may not go out of its domain of adjudicating the matters, because main purpose of setting up courts was to adjudicate the disputes which arise. So इस डोमेन के बाहर जाकर उसको लेजिस्लेचर का काम नहीं करना है, तो इस बात का भी ध्यान कोर्ट को रखना होता है. Then we have grounds of challenge of rules and regulations. Rules and regulations framed by administrative authorities can always be challenged on grounds of uncertainty and vagueness. हमको समझ में नहीं आया what you are giving. There is something vague. Like if you did in class 11 and you remember those sources of law chapter that you may have done, various, so not sources of law but those theories of definitions of law, various schools of law were rejected from time to time because some or the other thing was vague in that, was blur in that, its concepts were not much clear. So same over here, some rules and regulations can be challenged, can go into the courts of law as a review part to check that there is some vagueness or there is something which is not crystal clear. Arbitrariness is presence of non-causality between rule and object sought to be achieved by said rule. Arbitrary नहीं होना चाहिए. It is also clear that when there is a patent denial of equality, arbitrariness will be in force. Now when you are denying to treat that regulation which is put in court, that means you are denying equality. आप उसको equality treat नहीं करो क्योंकि वो legislation ने पास किया तो आप उसको मना ही कर दो, that is wrong. तो यह है कि आप arbitrary action कर रहा है court. कहने का मतलब है उसने बोला legislation से पास है तो ये गलती नहीं हो सकती, so that is a clear cut denial of equality. You are not treating it equally, and so there is an arbitrary action by the court. Furthermore, reasons form an essential aspect. जो भी आप rule frame कर रहे हो, there should be a rationale, there should be a proper reason behind that. You have to apply your mind and then you have to frame a law. If there are more crimes going on, you are framing an act. If there are more murders going on, you frame a stringent punishment for that. So there should be a rationale or a reason behind anything or any action that the administrative department is taking upon. If there is a lack of reason and arbitrarily just आपका मन कर रहा था, just like that you have done, so that is wrong. That means you have not applied your mind while you were doing that action. बेवकूफ़ी वाला काम नहीं करना है, एक रीज़न के साथ काम करना है. जब भी कोई डिसीजन डिलीवर होता है उसमें भी दिया रहता है कि इस प्रोविज़न के हिसाब से हम ये वर्डिक्ट डिलीवर करें. सो ये उस वर्डिक्ट को डिलीवर करने के रीज़न्स हुए कि इन ग्राउंड्स पर या इन रीजन्स पर दिस पर्सन इज़ कंसीडर्ड टू बी गिल्टी और ये हमारा वर्डिक्ट है. सो हर चीज़ के पीछे एक रैशनल, एक रीज़न होता है, कोई भी वैलिड रीज़न. Value of reasonableness in administrative law has increased many-fold, especially in post-Renaissance period. To decipher reasonableness, one needs to pay attention to prevalent customs, traditions, practices while acting under the ambit of administrative law. So whatever the prevalent situations in that society are, that also you must take care of to be reasonable. Then we have control over administrative discretion and rule making. Under the Constitution, general parliamentary control in form of debates, notices, adjournments operate as a potent weapon. Special controls such as lay-in provisions, consideration for special committees are also of prime significance. Now, the general parliament is in whatever the parliament takes the decisions, that can be in the form of a notice, it can be in the form of adjournment, or debates can be done in lay-in provisions to delegated administrative rules that are laid on table of house, and only on approval of parliament or respective authority will those rules said to have the power of law. So lay in, what this term means, rakh do. They are laid down on the table of any of the house of parliament, and if through debates and discussions and proper voting that is done when each of the bill is passed, if that gets the approval of parliament, majority of members of parliament, then only it will have to be said as law. Lay-in can be of two kinds, recommendatory or mandatory. Recommendations and suggestions can always be, they are not mandatory in the sense, means you may or you may not comply to that. So as the parliament, whatever recommendations are given to it by specific committees that it had set up, parliament has the wish to implement or to approve those recommendations or not. But if it is mandatory, then you have to comply by it. There is no other way out. Delegated legislation is always subject to judicial review, yes, because every bill or act which is passed by the parliament, all those can be reviewed by judiciary, and that is only known as judicial review. And obviously judiciary does the verdict on basis of the various provisions which are mentioned in the constitution, and the various acts or amendments or the rules which are in place at that particular point of time when the case is going on, and also the various rule books that we have in existence. Then we come on to remedies under administrative law. Government machinery cannot be excused. Now, the government cannot be excused if it is doing a wrong against any person of the country. It is a group of people or it is an individual. But if a wrong is done by the government against that person or that group of people, then government is entitled to a certain kind of liability. It cannot be excused just because it's a part of the government or governance system. And also administrative law provides the remedies that people have if government does any wrongful act against them. If a government is doing any wrongful act, or if the government is not doing a correct act, that is what we say commission or omission. And if, like this example if I talk about, which is given in your books only, if government is giving a contract for construction of a government building to person or company A, and A has begun the work and some of the work is done, A invested his own money into it and some of the work is done, and after that the government is saying that we have changed our mind and now we don't want you to continue the work. Now there is loss of A in the work that he has already done, and in the time being that he was doing the work of government, he may have entered into another contract with another person and done his work, and that will may not be cancelled also. So against this unreasonable act of government, the person or the contractor A has a remedy. There are different kinds of remedies available against wrongful actions. Different wrongful actions, different kind of remedies against them. Different statutes provide guidelines, benchmarks which are to be adhered to, means which are to be followed. There are various rule books in existence: Indian Evidence Act, Indian Contract Act, IPC, CRPC, Constitution provisions. There are various acts, amendments or rule books which are in existence today. And अगर पैरेलल कुछ भी उसमें अगर किसी दो बुक के प्रोविजंस उस केस में अटैच हो सकते हैं तो वो अटैच किए जाते हैं. सो एवरी एक्ट इज सीन एंड इट इज़ चेक्ड कि अगर उसका कोई प्रोविज़न तो नहीं इस केस में लग रहा, तो वो सब कुछ लगाया जाता है. सो ऑल दोज गाइडलाइंस आर फॉलोड. Indian Evidence Act deals in detail with when and how can public officers be compelled to disclose information, because when they will disclose information, it may become an evidence against or in favor of somebody. Apart from constitutional statutory remedies, control over administration can also be exercised by non-constitutional and non-statutory means, wherein media and social media assume an important role. आजकल सोशल मीडिया भी बहुत ही ज़्यादा एक्टिव है, वायरल होती हैं चीज़ें एंड ऑल दैट स्टफ. Now the last topic of this chapter is a comparative analysis Droit system. I will do this in the next video.